Intro. In a world torn apart by nuclear war, life is a constant struggle for survival. Amidst the barren wasteland, a few radiation-free settlements offer a glimmer of hope for those who dare to venture outside. This is where we find Jack, a stalker on a mission to find the remnants of the old world to ensure his survival. His journey will be fraught with danger as he encounters ruthless bandits and rival factions vying for power in this desolate landscape, armed with nothing but his wits, guts, instincts, and rifle. Jack must navigate the treacherous terrain and make critical decisions that will determine his fate. Will he find what he's looking for, or will he become just another victim of the unforgiving wasteland? The odds are against him, but Jack is a survivor. The question is, how far is he willing to go to stay alive? Get ready for an unforgettable adventure filled with suspense, action, and unexpected twists and turns. Now let's start with Chapter 1: The Stalker into the Wasteland. Jack stepped cautiously through the barren wasteland, his boots crunching on the ashen ground beneath him. The air was thick with the smell of burning, and the sky was choked with gray clouds, blotting out the sun. It had been like this for as long as he could remember, ever since the world had been plunged into nuclear war. The land around him was bleak and unforgiving. Hills and mountains rose in the distance, their peaks obscured by the dense haze of radiation. The only signs of life were the twisted, mutated plants that struggled to grow in the toxic soil. Jack trudged on, his eyes scanning the horizon for any signs of danger. He had been a soldier before the war, and those skills had served him well in the years since. He carried a rifle slung over his shoulder. Jack trudged on through the wasteland, his eyes scanning the horizon for any signs of danger. He had been wandering for weeks now, scavenging what little he could find to survive. The world was a harsh, unforgiving place, but he had learned to adapt. As he walked, the ground beneath him became increasingly rocky and uneven. He climbed up a small rise, and there, in the distance, he saw the faint glimmer of something in the sunlight. He quickened his pace, eager to investigate. As he drew closer, he realized it was a small settlement, surrounded by a crude wooden fence. He approached cautiously, his rifle at the ready. He had learned long ago that trust was a luxury he couldn't afford. The gate was open, and he slipped inside. The settlement was a collection of makeshift huts and shacks, surrounded by small plots of land where crops struggled to grow. A few people moved about, tending to their chores. They eyed him warily as he approached. Jack didn't speak, just scanned the area, looking for anything that might be of use. He was about to turn and leave when a voice called out to him. "Hey, you there? You looking for something?" Jack turned to see a man approaching him. He was older, with a grizzled beard and tired eyes. "I'm just passing through," Jack said, his hand tightening on his rifle. The man nodded. "I can see that. But maybe we can help each other out. We're always in need of supplies. And you look like you know your way around the wasteland." Jack considered this for a moment. He was used to fending for himself, but the idea of having allies wasn't entirely unappealing. "What do you need?" he asked. The man smiled. "Come with me. We can talk more inside." Jack followed the man to a small hut near the center of the settlement. Inside, he found a small group of people gathered around a table, discussing something in low tones. They looked up as he entered, their eyes flickering with suspicion. "This is Jack," the older man said, introducing him. He's offered to help us out. The group looked him over, sizing him up. Jack could feel their eyes on him, assessing him for any weaknesses. Finally, one of them spoke up. We could use some ammunition. And maybe some medical supplies. We've got some food we could trade. Jack nodded. I can help with that. The group looked relieved, and they began discussing the specifics of the trade. As they talked, Jack looked around the hut. It was cramped and dimly lit, but there was a sense of camaraderie in the air that he couldn't help but be drawn to. Maybe, he thought, this could be the start of something new. Something better than the endless struggle to survive in the wasteland. Jack trudged through the wasteland, his leather boots crunching on the gravelly earth beneath him. The sun beat down relentlessly on his back, making him sweat through his thin, tattered shirt. He looked up at the sky, searching for any sign of a cloud or shade, but all he saw was the endless blue expanse stretching out above him. He adjusted the strap of his backpack, feeling the weight of his supplies digging into his shoulders. He had to ration his food and water carefully, as both were scarce resources in the wasteland. But he was a survivor, a soldier in his past life, and he had learned to adapt to this harsh environment. As he walked, he scanned the horizon for any signs of life or danger. He had heard rumors of bandits and mutants roaming the wasteland, preying on unsuspecting travelers. But he had his trusty rifle by his side, loaded and ready for any threat that may arise. The landscape was barren and desolate, a bleak reminder of the devastation that had befallen the world. Buildings lay in ruins, their concrete and steel frames twisted and broken. The air was thick with the stench of decay, and the only sounds were the distant howls of mutated creatures and the rustling of the wind. Jack pressed on, his mind focused on his next destination. He had heard of a settlement that lay to the east, a place where survivors had banded together to form a community. He hoped to find refuge there, to restock on supplies and perhaps even find some semblance of hope in this desolate world. But as he walked, he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every rustle in the bushes or creak of a broken branch made his heart race, his hand inching towards his rifle. He had learned to trust his instincts in the wasteland, for it was a place where hesitation could mean death. Finally, he saw the faint outline of a settlement in the distance, a beacon of hope in the endless expanse of nothingness. But he knew that the wasteland was full of surprises, and danger could lurk around every corner. Jack steeled himself, ready for whatever challenges lay ahead, and marched towards his destination with purpose. Jack cautiously approached the stash, scanning the area for any potential threats. As he reached the spot, he could see the outline of an old metal container buried beneath the rubble. With a sudden rush of adrenaline, he frantically dug through the debris and finally uncovered the container. Excitedly, Jack pried open the container, revealing a cache of supplies including food, water, and ammunition. However, it was the broken SVD sniper rifle that caught his eye. The weapon was a rare find in the wasteland, and Jack had been looking for one for years since his previous one had been stolen. He examined the rifle and found that it had a cracked barrel and a jammed bolt. Jack knew it would take some work to get it up and running again, but he was determined to make it work. He carefully packed up his new supplies, including the broken SVD, and set off towards his makeshift camp, eager to start working on the weapon. As he walked, Jack couldn't help but feel a sense of relief and excitement. For once, he had found something that could give him an advantage in the unforgiving wasteland. But he also knew that he had to be cautious, as others would be on the hunt for the same resources and could easily become hostile. As he neared his camp, Jack noticed the setting sun casting an eerie glow over the barren landscape. He knew that darkness would soon be upon him and he needed to work quickly. He set up camp, carefully laying out his supplies and beginning to tinker with the broken SVD, hoping to repair it before nightfall. But as he worked, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. He knew that the wasteland was full of danger, from bandits to mutants to the deadly radiation storms that swept through the area. And with his newfound resources, he knew that he had become an even bigger target. He worked through the night, finally managing to fix the SVD just before dawn broke. Exhausted, but satisfied, Jack settled in for a few hours of much-needed rest before he would head back out into the unforgiving wasteland once again. Just wanna pay my respect to ChatGPT for helping put the story together and also Mid-Journey for their help with the artwork. There will be more to come, more chapters in the future. Please stay tuned for more. I hope you all liked and enjoyed this story. If you did, please leave a comment and a like for more content like this. It's always great to know what people think.